Daredevil Born Again Season 2 just ended, and obviously I did videos on each episode, so this is basically just going to be my quick thoughts on the season as a whole and the characters. I'm basically just going to, like, what my thoughts were on the season, on the characters, on the action, and just everything like that. And then I will have 2 more videos, just kind of talking about Daredevil a little bit more. I will have one that's ranking all 5 seasons of Daredevil, plus the Defenders, and then I have one that is a surprise. It's not going to be like a long one, but I am excited to do that because it's just a bit of a different one. But Daredevil, if you haven't seen my other videos, is my favorite show of all time. I watched it for the first time in, like, I think it was towards the beginning of 2024, so it hasn't been that long. But, like, it just, like, quickly became, like, one of my favorite shows. And then it rose to become my favorite one. I've seen it a good chunk of times, even though it hasn't been, like, super long. And then, obviously, I watched Born Again Season 1 as it was airing. And, it was just really cool, like, watching it along with everyone else. Because I obviously didn't get to do that with the first 3. And then I was extremely excited for Born Again Season 2. I've loved every single season. Season 1's awesome. Season 2, I know a lot of people don't like it. I do. Season 3 is obviously great. And then Born Again Season 1, obviously a lot of people don't really like that one. They think it has its moments, but all in all, people don't like it as much. I am different. I think it's great. I love it just like the other seasons. It's not better than a couple of them, but at the same time, it's still a phenomenal season. And then Season 2, I was super excited for, especially since Season 1, at the time, ended with, Season 4, or Born Again Season 1, ended with Episode 9, which was my favorite episode of TV. I thought that was great. And then, and with everything set up, like, Fisk is now mayor, and then Daredevil's going to be trying to take him down, and just, like, all-out war. I was extremely excited for Season 2, and I said that if Season 2 could have episodes that were just a little bit worse than Season 1, Episode 9, or Season 4, Episode 9, it could be, like, the best season of television ever. Do I think that holds up? No. I still love the season, so that's my thoughts. I thought that this season was still great. I give all but one episode 5 out of 5. I have done that for basically every episode of Daredevil. There is one episode in Season 1 that I'm like, that's 4.5. There's no episodes in Season 2 that I think are any less than a 5 out of 5. I really like that. Season 3 has one that's a 4.5 out of 5, and then one that is 3.5 out of 5, but the rest of the season makes up for those 2. And then Born Again Season 1 has 2 episodes, I would say, 4.5 out of 5. This season had 1 episode that was a 4.5 out of 5. And do I give episodes throughout the show some leeway because it is my favorite show and just, like, I love it? Maybe. But I do stand by that I think most of the episodes are 5 out of 5. They're just great. And this season is no different. I think that all but Episode 2 are 5 out of 5. Like, they're really good. But I do think it was a little bit... I think it was not as good as I kind of thought it was going to be. Some of that comes from, I feel like Daredevil in this season was used a little bit less than he should have been, especially since he's the main character. I still don't think he got, like, the least amount of screen time, which shouldn't be for the main character, but I do feel like, especially in the earlier little bit of the season, I feel like he gets a little bit less screen time than he should have. But also, once I rewatch this season and I can watch all 8 episodes at once, I feel like even that will kind of go away a little bit. Not like a bunch. Like, I think there will be some, not, it will go away, but I don't think all of it will go away. Like, there will always still be like that little thing where I'm like, he should be getting a little bit more screen time. But it's just something for me, like when you have the whole season and then you can watch it again, it's always better that time around when other than like if it's releasing an episode at a time and you get that episode, then you have to wait a week and then you get the next episode. I'm always a little bit more critical when it is like that, because it's like, okay, I want to watch the show, I want to see Daredevil, like the main character, and this week we might not have gotten as much of him as we did last week, or like stuff like that. And I think Kingpin was really good. Let's just get into the characters, and then I'll just talk about everything else. So, Daredevil, I thought he was really great. Charlie Cox gave a great performance. And the new suit was awesome. I think that what they do with Daredevil this whole season is pretty good. He doesn't really go through a big arc because, for the most part, he is kind of at peace with everything. There is a little bit with him and Bullseye where he kind of ends up having to forgive him and give him mercy. And I liked that, especially since that brought back Foggy, even if it was flashbacks and it was just for one episode. I hope that there's an episode like that in each season that has Foggy until they bring him back to life. But I think that Charlie Cox's Daredevil is like one of the greatest castings of all time. He's definitely on the Mount Rushmore of comic book like castings and characters. I think the only other like person as a superhero that I think could be better is Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, and that's just because I love that Spider-Man. But especially with him having a bunch more screen time, there is a good chance of possibility that Charlie Cox could be better. But I kind of want to give it to Andrew for now, especially since Spider-Man is my favorite character. So even like this great Daredevil, like it's Spider-Man, and Andrew Garfield is perfect as him. Like, there's that. But besides the feeling that he got a little bit less screen time than he should have, I thought that Daredevil in this season was great. And then Kingpin, I thought he was really good as well. He isn't like my favorite bad guy. He would probably be on my Mount Rushmore villains. Probably I would have Ultron up there from Age of Ultron. I just like that one. I would have probably Kingpin, to be honest. I would probably have William Dafoe's Green Goblin. And then, I really don't know. But I would say he's probably up there. But at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, he's good, and his performance is really good. Like, there are times throughout the season where you just feel bad for him. But, I don't want to say I'm like other people, because even though he's been the main villain for Season 1, he was the main villain for Season 3, he showed up in Season 2, he was the main villain for Born Again Season 1, he's now the main villain for Born Again Season 2, he was the main villain in Hawkeye, and then he was the main villain in Echo. So he has been the main villain in a good chunk of stuff, and I would like to see other villains. Like, obviously, I would like to see other villains, like, be the main one. Probably not Bullseye, because it just looks like the way they're going with him, he's probably not going to be, like, a main villain anytime soon. But, like, there are other villains that Daredevil's had in the comics that I think could be better, like, main villains. I don't know exactly, like, who and what, but there could be better ones. But at the same time, if I don't think he's going to be the main villain in Season 3, just from, like, everything I've heard of that. Like, I don't think they have a main villain yet, but from what I've heard, Fisk is going to come back to help Matt and Karen. So I don't think he's going to be a villain in that season. And the way they leave this season off is kind of like, I think them kind of being like, okay, Kingpin will still show up, but he won't be a villain, at least not for a very, very long time. And that's good, but at the same time, if he does end up showing back, coming back and like being a villain, I wouldn't hate it as much as I feel like other people would, because it's like, even if it does feel like they keep reusing him, he is a really good villain. So the like hatred that like, oh, we need to get a different villain, like, it's true, and I respect it and I agree with it, but at the same time, if we do get another season down the line with him as the main villain, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Karen, it's cool to see Karen back, obviously. Mostly because like she ties in the Netflix era more, like even more than it was already tied in, which wasn't as tied in season 1 of Born Again, but at the same time, like, I think they did a really good job with that. But Karen has never been my favorite character. I've always, like, in every season, like, a lot of people are like, oh, she's so great and everything, and I'm just like, she's fine. And, like, there is moments where I think that Deborah Ann Wool plays her, like, extremely good. Like, there's a moment in episode 8 of this season that I was like, oh, that was really good, just, like, the way she does, like, her face and, like, reaction and everything. But I've always had something that I didn't really like about her performance, and I think some of that has to do with, it seems in most scenes that she's in, no matter what season it is, she almost looks like she's gonna cry, or like she just like has that look on her face, like I don't know how to explain it, but it just kind of like, there's always been something off about her performance for me, and and that's why I feel like I've never really like connected with her character as much as other people have, is that there's something about her for me that I don't like as much as it seems like other people do. But that being said, as much as I say that, it is still good to see her, because it's like it's a character that we've been with since season 1, and no matter how much I might dislike her more than other people, I do still have that like connection. Like, I do like her character because of like the journey that you've seen. Even though, again, her backstory episode, which is season 3, episode 10, that is my least favorite episode of the show for now, and I kind of hope it stays that way, because even if it is my least favorite episode, it's still not the worst thing I've ever seen, and it does have like really good moments. I just think that her backstory wasn't exactly like the best thing, and it took like 30 minutes of the episode to like do it, and that was just a little bit too much for me. But Karen is a fine character in this, but not my favorite. I think I'm gonna go Team Daredevil. I'm just gonna stick with his allies, and then go to Fisk's allies. I should have written the names down because I might miss a character here and there, but I'll try and remember everyone. Cherry, I don't have much to say about him. He's not in this season as much as you would think. He's in episode 1. He was in episode 2 a little bit, and then he's in episode 7 and episode 8. A lot of other people hate him. I cannot say that he was my favorite in Born Again season 1. I did find him kind of annoying with the like, Matt, you're not supposed to be Daredevil, you're doing so well, blah, blah, blah. I did find him kind of annoying with that, and it probably, as people have said, probably would have been better if it was Detective Mahoney who was the one doing that, because you've got the connection with him, so you would kind of see where he's coming from with like the no Daredevil, but Cherry's like a newcomer. And even though he has less screen time in this season, I thought that he was fine. I didn't have a problem with him. I'm not like other people where like, oh, he needs to die. I mean, if he does die, it wouldn't be the worst thing, and it would give screen time to other characters that probably need it. But if he doesn't die, he's not like a character that I'm like, every time he's on screen now, I'm like, I don't hate him. Even though in season 1, he was pretty bad. Mahoney, he's only in episodes 7 and 8, and he's barely in them. Like, in episode 7, he has one scene, and then in episode 8, he has a couple scenes, but they're shorter than, I think. He's got around the same amount of screen time in both episodes, and that's not a lot of screen time. It's a total of, like, 3 or so minutes in each episode. But it was nice to see him again. He's obviously been there since season 1, episode 1, so it's, like, cool to see him back, and I hope that he's in season 3 a little bit more, but I don't really have much to say other than it was cool to see him. Same with Josie. She was only in the first 2 episodes, and then she kind of disappeared. She was never, like, the biggest part, but she would always show up in the seasons of Daredevil, just as, like, this bartender, and, like, that's where they went. And obviously, like, everyone who knows Daredevil knows what Josie's is. It's, like, the bar of the show. And it was cool seeing her, even if she wasn't a big part. It's just, like, it's cool that she's back, and she's here, and hopefully she's in season 3 a little bit. But if she's not in season 3, I can understand because of everything that's going on. But I do feel like there's a possibility she will be there, and that would be cool. Detective Angie, I think is her name. She was barely a character. Next, I'm just kidding. She, in the first season, I would say she's probably better in season 1 than she was in season 2. Just because, like, she's barely there. Like, she does nothing. Now next, I have nothing else to say. Jessica Jones was in episode 6, 7, and 8. She was not in episode 6 as much as people were gonna think she was, and then in episode 7, she wasn't in it as much, and then in episode 8, she had a bit of a bigger role. And I didn't watch any seasons of Jessica Jones. I only watched the Defenders with her, but in Defenders, I thought that she was pretty good, and I liked her dynamic with Matt. So seeing her come back in this, I was just like, that is cool. And for everyone who, like, has watched the Jessica Jones show, it's like, it's also pretty cool for them to see her coming back. And obviously, that just gets us closer to Iron Fist coming back, which is what I want, because unlike a lot of people, I thought that show was really good, and I thought that Finn Jones was great as him. So I'm excited to see him come back. This is where the spoilers come in, like, big spoilers. Most of those characters were like, yeah, they were going to be there. Luke Cage makes a cameo in the last episode for a little bit. He's only in, like, a minute or 2, so it's not a big cameo, but it's a cameo. And I liked him less than Jessica coming back, not just because he had less screen time than her, but because out of the 4 members of the Defenders, Luke Cage is my least favorite. I don't really care about the character. And Mike Coulter just, like, wasn't my favorite person, like, in it. Like, he just didn't do, like, good enough for me. But at the same time, it was cool seeing him come back. Same with Jessica Jones. The people who watch that show, it's got to be cool for them. And again, it gets us closer to Iron Fist. That slightly ticks me off is that Iron Fist wasn't in it, because it's like you bring in Jessica and then Luke. You couldn't have Iron Fist show up for, like, a minute. Just a minute, please. But yeah. White Tiger, Angela Del Toro, is back, and I thought that the way they did her character was pretty good. She's a pretty interesting character. In season 1, I liked her character too. Just like how she was a little bit more like, we gotta find we gotta find Muse, because she found out that her uncle was trying to hunt Muse down, so she's like, we gotta do that. And that kind of is what leads into Daredevil coming back. And then, obviously, in this season, she just wants to take the task force down because of what they did to her uncle. And I thought that they handled that pretty good. And her character was interesting. Like, she wasn't, like, the biggest part again, but it was cool seeing her, and it would be nice to see her show up in future seasons. Swordsman also was in the first 3 episodes, and then no, he was in the first 4, and then he kind of just left. And I liked him. I thought that he was pretty good. I think that Tony Dalton as Swordsman is, like, really entertaining, and I liked him in Hawkeye. And then I thought he was pretty good in the couple episodes he was in season 1. And then, obviously, when he comes back in this, he is really good. He wasn't a big part. I think that the action scene he had was really fun. And it would be nice to see him return. But at the same time, if he doesn't return, it's not going to be like this character that I'm like, oh, it kind of sucks that he's not returning. Just because he wasn't really, like, a main cast member. And he didn't really bring, like, anything to the story that it's like, oh, we need to see more, like, he'll add even more to the story. No, it's like, he showed up, he was good, and if he shows up again, it will be fun to see, but at the same time, I'm not like, oh, he needs to. And then the last one that, at least I can think of right now, that is on Team Daredevil, which isn't exactly on Team Daredevil, is Bullseye. I'm putting him on this side because he obviously wasn't Team Fisk, but it was really cool. I think that Wilson Bethel as Bullseye is just really good, and even though he wasn't in it as much as I would have liked, I think that this might be my favorite season of his. He's obviously in season 3, and that's his introduction, which is a really good season. But you don't get as much with his character in that season. And then he's in Born Again season 1, which is even less. He's in 3 episodes of that one, and he's not like the biggest part of them. But I thought that what they did with him in season 1 of Born Again was pretty good. And then obviously he returns in this, and is just phenomenal. And episode 4, which is the one that features his diner scene, and then just the rest of the episode that happens with him and kind of what him and Matt go through, and then at the end, he ends up killing Vanessa. And then just like the little bit he goes through in the rest of the season, and him and Daredevil reaction to each other, and him kind of being fine with dying now because he's done his one good deed. I thought that was all handled extremely well. And episode 4 is right now, I think, probably my favorite episode of television. So it did overtake episode 9 of season 1 of Born Again, but it was just phenomenal, and I thought that Bullseye was awesome in this season. And then Foggy is in one episode. He's not like a big part, but it's good seeing him back. And no matter how much I love the show, and like there are a couple episodes that he's not in that I like more than like other episodes of Daredevil, the show is missing something without Foggy, and I do hope that he is like his death was faked or something, and he returns someday, or they find a way to bring him back or something. Like there's just something missing without Foggy, and I really hope that we get him back. Now on to Team Fisk. Starting off with Vanessa. I've never been the biggest fan of hers. In season 1, like, she was fine. She was just a love interest. In season 3, she's in 2 episodes, and she was fine. She's just there to marry Wilson and give Wilson something to, like, fight for. And then in Born Again season 1, she's kind of just there as well. Again, like, she doesn't really add anything to it. And then in this season, I kind of felt that way, where it's just like, okay, Vanessa's back. It's not like she's my least favorite character to see. She's fine. And I feel like some of that is also like she's been there since season 1, so no matter how much I'm just like, it's also like it is kind of cool seeing her, because like she was in the original season. And then she ends up getting murdered by Bullseye. And ultimately, like, they could have done a bit more with it for Fisk, but I'm not going to say that I lost any sleep over it, and I'm not going to say that it was their worst decision that they could have done. It's like, okay, that's going to add something to Fisk's character, and it did to an extent. It just didn't do as much as I thought it would. Maybe there will be a little bit more of it in season 3, but I thought she was fine, and yeah, this might be my favorite season of hers, but it's not like this great thing, like this big thing. Buck. Buck's the GOAT. I love Buck. I don't know why exactly I'm just like, oh, he's so cool, but I do. I know a lot of people like Wesley from season 1, and then Wesley was in this season, so, but I've just never been the biggest fan of Wesley. I mean, him returning in this episode was kind of cool, but I didn't really care. It was just like, okay, there's Wesley returning in this episode, and there's Foggy returning in this episode. Okay. Foggy, you're awesome. You're great. Something's missing without you, Wesley. It's kind of cool seeing you back, but you can just be in this one episode, and then you're not in the next of the season, and that's fine. That's what I thought about Wesley. Buck, I'm just like, he's super cool. In season 1, he didn't really have like the most character, but I did like him in season 1, and he was just like this cool right hand man to Fisk. There's a scene in season 1 of Born Again where he's talking to some of like the criminal people, and they're like, go back and tell the mayor about this, and he's like, I don't work for the mayor, I work for the Mon. And I just like his performance in that. Like, he just like was having fun with it. And then the rest of season 1, I just thought that he was pretty good. And then coming into season 2 of Born Again, I just thought that like everything that they did with his character was really good. I thought that he was just like charming, like being there. Like, he just had this charming personality about him, and he was just cool. I hope Buck returns because I just like the character. I know that people probably don't like him as much now after episode 7, but I still like him. And I think that Buck is the GOAT. Speaking of episode 7, Daniel. Daniel is a character that in season 1 I hated. I didn't care for him at all. I didn't think he had any good scenes. He was just this annoying fanboy who I really did not like the performance. It's not that I'm like, the actor sucks. It's just that he annoyed me. And then in season 2, for the most part, it was kind of the same thing, where I was just like, man, I don't like this guy. He's just annoying. I really just don't like seeing him on the screen. And, yeah. And then you get into episode 7, where he doesn't have like a big part, but it is his last episode because Buck shoots him. And obviously, if you've heard what happens behind the scenes, he was supposed to live, and then they changed it because they were like, it doesn't feel right. And I feel like that was probably a good decision, not just because it's like, okay, good, Daniel is not going to be in the show anymore. That's somewhat good because I didn't really like the character, but I thought that they did a really good job of it. And they made me like start to like him like right before he died. And I was just like, okay, I'm starting to like him a little bit. And then and I was like, but I know what's coming. And that's why I'm starting to like him a little bit, is because he's actually like acting like a character, where it just seems like for most of the show he's just like a Fisk fanboy who will do anything, and I just didn't really like that character. But then once he starts betraying Fisk, I was just like, okay, you're kind of redeeming yourself for me. Not much though. And then BB Urich is the other side of his coin, where it's kind of them two for most of the season, like they were interacting. I didn't remember to mention her on Team Daredevil because her character again is one that I'm like, yeah, whatever. She is fine. I don't really have much to say. Her Fisk videos, when they started, were kind of funny. Like when she has the mask and she's like making fun of Fisk, I was like, that's kind of funny. And then the more it kept going, I was just like, okay, please shut up. It's getting annoying now. And then they stopped for a couple episodes, and I liked that. I was just like, okay, that's good. And then they brought it back in episode 8, and I thought that one was pretty good because it's kind of her just being like, okay, we got to stop him. So I really don't care about seeing her again, but again, she wouldn't be the worst one to see again. And before I get into the rest of Team Fisk, Christian McDuffie is on Team Daredevil, and I forgot about her character. Sorry. But I don't know why, because I do like her character. Not as much as the comic book version, because I think that her in the comic books is just like a really, really good character. And I think in the show, she is a pretty good character, but not as good as the comic book version. But I think the actress does a pretty good job, and I think that the little story that she had in this season was pretty good. And I really do hope that she keeps showing up in the seasons, and they bring her a little bit closer to her comic book counterpart, just to make her a bit better. But all in all, I do think that Christian McDuffie is pretty good in the show, and she did bring some of the, like, most of the lawyer stuff of the season, so I also like that, because I do like the lawyer stuff. Team Fisk, who do I have left? I know I have the two I'll talk about 3 task force members, and then Heather. I have Hawkberg I'll talk about. I think that's it. Okay, Heather. Let's talk about Heather. Okay, let's talk about Hawkberg. Heather is a character that I didn't really like. The more and more her character went on, the more I was just like, oh my, please shut up. Please shut up. You're annoying me. You suck. Like at the start of the season, I was like, oh, she's going to be interesting. And then at the end of the season, I was like, okay, I'm excited to see where her character goes. But for that middle section of the season, I was just like, oh my god, get off my screen, please, get off of me, get out of the screen, please. And it's kind of weird because in season 1, for the most part, I was like kind of fine with her character. Like, she wasn't my favorite, but in season 1 of Born Again, I was like, okay, she's not the best character, but I think that the way her and Matt's relationship is doing is pretty good. And then you get into after she's attacked by Muse, and she just starts like hating the vigilantes and just crying about them, and I'm just like, okay, shut up. And then she joins Fisk's administration at the end. I'm like, well, that was dumb. And then obviously they bring her back in this season, and for the most part, everything they did with her, I was just like, oh my god. But then you get into the last scene with her where she puts on the Muse mask, and it kind of shows that she's now like feeling at peace and like her best when she's got that on. So she's gonna become Lady Muse, and I'm like, okay, that's gonna be cool. I'm excited to see that in season 3. Hawkberg is the lawyer that kind of works for Fisk. He was annoying. There was a scene in episode 8 where he's kind of like touching Heather's hair and being kind of a creep, and Heather like throat punches him. And as much as I don't like Heather, I was just like, okay, that was cool. You earned respect there. That was awesome. I hate that guy. He was so annoying. And then in the last episode, he's basically just crying about everything Matt's doing and being like, objection, objection, objection. It's like, please shut up. Luckily, Karen gets out, so that guy loses, and maybe sometime Fisk can give him the Commissioner Gallo treatment that he did in the previous season. You know, the little head massage. Oh, Sheila is another member of Team Fisk who doesn't really want to be a member of Team Fisk, but kind of fears him. I do like how she doesn't have as much screen time, but she is also one that from season 1, I was just like, you're really annoying. And unlike Daniel, who redeemed himself a little bit right before his death, she didn't redeem herself at all. And she's still alive, and she'll be returning. That sucks. I didn't really care about her character. I don't really like her. Every time she's on screen, I'm like, okay, just give her like 30 seconds and then move on to the next person. Okay, I think there's only 2 more characters, which is Powell and Cole. And what was that task force member's name? The one who betrayed the task force? I don't remember. Powell, the head of the task force, the guy with the most hateable face in the show. He lives up to that because I hated him. And he survived the season, which sucks, but maybe we can get a really bad death for him in the next season. He's there to be the a-hole that you hate, and he is exactly that. He's the a-hole that you hate. I don't like him. Cole North, on the other hand, in the first season wasn't exactly my favorite. He's not my favorite in the comics either. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's so good in the comics, and they ruined him in the show. I'm just like, I read the comics that he's in, I'm like, okay, he's fine in those. He's in the show fine. Obviously, the characters are completely different, but they're both relatively the same. And then in this season, he has a bit of an arc where it's not like a big pronounced arc, but it's a little arc that kind of like blooms into episode 8, where he ends up taking out Powell and kind of siding with Daredevil's side. And then at the end, when he's in prison and Matt ends up going into prison as well, that's how the season ends. He kind of gives like this respectful nod. So I'm guessing in season 3, he'll be a little bit more on Matt's side while they're in prison. And I think that's pretty cool. And I think that the actor is a really good actor. Like, I think that the actor was just really good. I don't know exactly why, but I just thought that taking this character that I wasn't the biggest fan of, I just think the actor gives him a lot more to do. And I'm excited to see more of him. But I think that's all like the main characters. If I missed any, that would suck, but I can't think of any that I'm really missing. Obviously, there's like a couple more side characters that I don't really care about talking about right now. As for the season as a whole, it was a bit less as great as I thought it would be, but it's still great and phenomenal, and it is a really great season, just like every season of Born Again. The way it ends was awesome, with Matt revealing his identity to the world and then getting put in prison. And then obviously, if you've seen the set photos for season 3, you would know that the Defenders are coming back, and that Fisk is going to be coming back with a Santa Claus beard. And obviously Lady Muse and all this stuff. So, though it wasn't as good as I thought it could be, it was still great. I do not hate the season at all. I still love the season. I just thought it had the chance for me of being the best season of TV, and it just wasn't. So there was a little bit of disappointment from that, but other than that, it was still great. And I can't wait for season 3. I can't wait for however many seasons of this show that we get, and I hope it's a bunch. And the action was awesome. It was really cool. The suit is obviously the best Daredevil suit we've ever seen. Just the double Ds and like the painted black, and it just keeps stripping off the black to get to red for the season. It's just awesome. And I think that's basically everything that I have to say right now. But I will see you guys for my next couple videos, and then obviously the Punisher special presentation will be out in a little bit, so I'll have a couple videos for that as well. But until then, I will see you soon.